Part of the fun of model railroading is sharing your hard work with others. If you have a home layout or club, putting on an open house can be one of the most rewarding parts of the hobby. Today, we're going to take a look at how we put together an open house for our layout, and welcome to Model Railroading Made Simple. We have two layouts at Christmas Tree Lane, our narrow gauge and the much larger Eastern California main layout. For our open house, we will run 2 to 3 trains around a 2-deck loop on the narrow gauge and 1 train point-to-point requiring 2 operators. One operator will have a wireless throttle and follow their train around navigating the crowded aisles, while the other operator will set the trains running in a loop at a set speed so they shouldn't need much input at all unless there is a derailment. This frees them up to manage the number of people coming into and out of the narrow gauge room. If we have extra help, one person will be assigned just to manage the doorway and allow 10 people in at a time. Any more than that and it gets too crowded. The main attraction for our open house is the Eastern California layout, which can take anywhere from 4 to 10 people to manage. We'll discuss the positions and what they do in more detail in a moment. The main layout is divided into 3 separate sections as of 2019 and will eventually be joined in a few years. They are the double-track Surfline section on the first 2 decks, the Northern California Inside Gateway section on the middle 2 decks, and the Seattle and Stampede Pass section on the top deck. For open house, we will run a parade of trains on the double-track Surf line. This will be anywhere from 4 to 8 trains, running about a train length apart at a set speed. It is a pretty cool sight to see, because visitors will see trains moving almost everywhere they look. This is accomplished by speed testing the trains using this TCS speed sensor. All the trains must be running at 24 to 25 scale miles per hour at all times. We currently use the MRC Prodigy DCC system, which can hold up to 6 trains per throttle. I know NCE is capable of something similar. I can't speak to Digitrax or other systems as I have not used them extensively. The parade can be run from one master throttle, but at open house I generally give each operator 1 to 2 trains to be responsible for. That said, I also keep a master throttle as dispatcher that can control the trains as well. I can start or stop the parade very quickly using the recall feature on the MRC throttle. NCE also has a recall button. Simply by pressing recall, then all stop, then recall and stop for each train, all the trains will be stopped in an emergency. I can also throttle up each train to its preset running speed quickly using the stacked recall. Unlike most op sessions, open house is too crowded with visitors to allow operators to effectively follow trains around the layout. So instead, at open house we station operators around at strategic locations and use radios to communicate any problems to one another. Let's take a look at these locations and what each operator does. I usually perform this task because the Follower car system is based at Los Angeles, and I'm usually running it for the kids while monitoring the parade movement. I make sure each train is traveling within a scale mile per hour of the designated 25 mile per hour speed limit of the parade as it passes over the speedometer. I am also near the base station in case the layout needs to be reset. During an open house, guests often will engage you in conversation, so it's important to make a good impression and not be rude if you are in the midst of an emergency. If you are, be polite and let them know you're happy to answer their questions in a moment, but you just need a second to attend to a problem with the trains. I keep a list of each train's set speed and its address in case I need to refer to it for reference. I've also learned to keep spare batteries handy nearby, and some gloves or hand sanitizer if you don't want to get germs shaking people's hands around the holidays, because there will be a lot of meeting new people at open house and the pleasantries that go along with that. The inside gateway dispatcher hangs out with me in the roped-off aisle near Los Angeles. That's because the inside gateway's longest passing siding is right above LA at Greenville. The inside gateway dispatcher will be in charge of coordinating the meet between two trains running over that section of layout, meeting at Greenville each time. Speed matching the trains doesn't matter as much with this train pairing because the dispatcher will line the first train to arrive at Greenville in the siding to wait for the other train to arrive. Once the meet has occurred, the dispatcher will line the switches for the next meet and send the trains on their way. They may also be asked to help with the follower car system as needed. The final duty new this year for the dispatcher is to help monitor one train that will be running solo on the top deck, which is the Seattle section. The Union Station Metrolink operator sits at LA Union Station, serving as a physical deterrent to guests touching controls and trains at the station where we can't see them. They also may control one or more parade trains as well as running a Metrolink commuter train in push-pull service from LA Union Station out to the East LA Metrolink station. This involves crossing the parade path at Mission Junction safely. Coordination is needed with LA Dispatch for crossing the Diamonds and stopping at the platform in East LA before making the return trip. The 8th Street operator manages a long swath of layout along the 8th Street yard and runs 1 to 2 trains in the parade. They also have visibility for parts of the inside gateway. Like most positions, reminding the public not to touch the layout and trains in a polite manner is also a big part of the job. The Hobart Operator manages the next aisle over from the 8th Street position. We've set up the guest traffic flow to be largely one way around the layout, and Hobart is one of the first places people get up close with the trains. We've had some problems in the past, and overexcited kids tend to grab at stuff, so we've installed plexiglass here. Hobart runs 1 to 2 trains in the parade. The Klamath Falls Operator works near the Hobart Operator, but focuses on the inside gateway trains. Typically, they will be controlling 1 of the 2 trains running on the inside gateway, and working with the dispatcher to coordinate the meet. They are also responsible for keeping an eye on the Seattle section on the top deck, which has 1 train passing by their location periodically. Disneyland is always popular with the kids and can be a handful. Despite some plexiglass, the low level of the tracks at Disneyland makes it always in danger, so the Disney operator needs to be vigilant but polite in reminding guests not to touch things. The Disneyland operator typically controls 1 train in the parade, but also has the Disneyland Railroad train to monitor that runs in a loop. Additionally, the Disneyland monorail can be operated in a loop or offered to a guest to control using a wireless dedicated controller. Another new position for 2019 is the San Diego Operator. We now have 2 operational sections that are not connected to the rest of the layout at San Diego and Mojave. For these short sections of layout, the San Diego Operator will run a push-pull coaster commuter train on 1 deck between San Diego and Encinitas, and a Mojave Flyer local freight train on the Mojave section. This low-key job adds interest to a new part of the layout. This operator also has a good line of sight on a portion of the parade route for calling out trouble as needed. Like Mission Junction, there is also a couple of diamond crossings for the coaster to navigate safely across the parade route. Moving on to other positions to consider for your open house, we have a small garden railroad loop near the entrance to the layout, so 1 person typically mans the garden railroad and acts as a first impression greeter. They hand out maps of the layouts, remind youngsters not to touch the trains, and that tall people might need to duck their heads while walking around low overhangs. As mentioned earlier, having a doorman at the entrance to your layout room can help keep bottlenecks from forming, where too many bodies in a room can actually create an unsafe situation for trains and guests alike. Another position to consider is having someone handing out or selling cookies, hot chocolate, or other goodies at your open house. It's also a great way to make a little something for your hard work. Try to pick something simple to offer to guests that won't make a mess around your layout, or provide a comfortable eating area like we've done on our outdoor patio. Safety is important, and I always keep a fire extinguisher in each room. Make sure your operators know where it is. Label any emergency exits and plan out how you would evacuate your layout space if needed. Consider having a video monitor showing videos of your trains or something train related. This can keep people entertained while waiting in lines, or simply give parents something to look at while the kids are busy watching trains. Make sure to clean your track before an open house. See my video on track cleaning in the description below for how we clean our track. It's pretty painless once you have taken a few initial steps outlined in the video. Nothing ruins an open house like stuttering or non-working trains. That means you should plan to spend some time cleaning the wheels of your locomotives before the open house. I usually put Gamsol on a paper towel and run the loco over it at full speed. Don't forget to clean the rail you just ran your dirty wheels over, as a lot of your wheel crud just came off on the rail. Spruce up your layout with a quick vacuum. Get those trees propped up and fix any other details that might have fallen over. After all, it's open house. Put your best foot forward. It might make the difference in getting that extra donation or not. Consider providing safety vests or other uniform attire for your crew. Guests tend to be on better behavior when there is someone that is clearly an authority figure visible to them. Most importantly, have fun. Relax and don't sweat it too much if something does derail, because it probably will. Take a moment to enjoy the sight of the visitors having a good time watching your layout and revel in the accomplishment of your hard work. See you next time on Model Railroading Made Simple.